Thinking about the website redesign to boost your sales? Here's the hard truth. Redesigns almost never work. In nearly 10 years of helping e-commerce brands grow, I've seen countless of redesigns fail, and only one that actually made a difference. Why? Because a redesign is often not the solution to your problem. In this video, I'll show you why redesigns fail, what you're likely doing wrong, and what you should focus on instead to improve your store's performance. But first, if you're new here, I'm Marc Uitterhoeve and I'm the CEO of Dexter Agency. We specialize in helping e-commerce brands grow from 6 to 7 figures by helping them implement the essential marketing foundations without having to spend extra money on acquiring traffic via ads. The core of what we do is we optimize stores and we optimize the revenue of brands by turning more of the existing visitors into buying customers, having them spend more on average, and also make them come back for more. And over the years, I've worked with countless e-commerce brands and I've seen how that redesign trap holds brands back. And I want to make sure that this doesn't happen to you. In this video, I want to highlight two main reasons why redesigns don't work. Let me start with the first reason. And that is that redesigns change everything, the bad, but also the good. When you're redesigning your website, you're not only removing things that are broken, you're also removing things that are actually working really well. For example, when a product page gets redesigned, it might look fancier, it might look much nicer. There maybe are even some interactive elements that really get people engaged. And it all looks a bit fancier. Like, you sometimes you need to have a page to look more modern because time change. But what I see is often also a consequence of this change is that other things have to disappear. So when there is a very nice, engaging, moving, interactive element on the product page, for example, you highlight your product's features and there are these different dots on your product, and when you click on them, they show the material that it's made of, how durable it is, and maybe the color, and you see all these interesting facts about your product. And that could look very interesting and cool. But what you often see is that because you're introducing something new or you're changing a bit the layout, is that it also changes the information that you're displaying. And it might actually then remove certain information that people needed in order to make their buying decision. It could have been something that really triggered your visitors and that they were like, oh wow, this is a product that I need to have. It could have been maybe a subtle statement about some authority that you were mentioned in a certain article or a certain news site. Or it could be that you mentioned something about the sustainability efforts that you're doing in a very casual way where it doesn't look salesy and people actually therefore trusted it more than now you put it bluntly on the site. So how you're displaying things, what you're displaying is going to be changed. And in the redesign, what happens is that something that was really working for you is also usually changed and not always necessarily for the good. Therefore, if you're going to do a redesign, there is a certain reason why you really must do it. It's always good to keep record of how your previous pages look like and also annotate what each page meant to do, because everything on the page should be there for a certain reason, and something could have been there to motivate people or to remove fear or to remove doubt or to actually create a bit of a fear of missing out. And you need to make sure that you highlight them and also show the strength and the weaknesses of these elements. So that when you have your redesign, you'll know, okay, this is what we had before, and we decided to remove this and that because of the new features that we're adding or the different layout. And if you see that the page is performing worse afterwards, you can trace back and you can see what you had done before and see if that actually, if you put it back, if that improves again your page. Now, this might seem a bit counterintuitive, or it feels a bit like you're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And that's also usually actually what happens with redesigns. Then brands really see, okay, this is not performing how we thought it would. Let's put things back. And that's why we usually don't recommend doing redesigns, but making these changes slowly and introducing them one by one so you can measure the impact. But in short, when you're going to do a redesign, you will also remove the good. And it's good that you have documented what you had previously on the page, what was good and what you think was not good. And then when you do the redesign, you know, okay, this is how our situation was before. And if we see issues, maybe we need to get some of these old elements back in some way, shape, or form. Now, the second reason why redesigns often don't work is that they don't fix the underlying problems. It's like buying a house that is really falling apart and you say, okay, let's give it a nice lick of paint. Then it looks better, but when it starts raining, actually the roof is leaky and you will see all those wet patches and you need to put buckets in order to capture all the leaking water. Or there's a storm and there's a big wind outside and it's blowing through all the cracks and it's giving you really discomfort because it's very cold and chilly inside. I think you're getting the point here, right? So you can put a nice lick of paint, you can put makeup on something that's ugly, but it doesn't change the inside. So you need to really figure out, okay, what is our problem? Is our checkout process maybe clunky or confusing? Or does it have trust issues? Or are our product descriptions actually good? Do they need to be more motivating? Do we address the fears and doubt that people have? Or does our brand need more character? Are we a bit of a bland 13 in a dozen kind of brand, and therefore people don't really feel a kind of compelling reason to buy from us? Because a redesign doesn't solve these issues. They are underlying problems, and those you need to fix. So if you realize that you're actually going to do a redesign because you're fed up of the design, or you feel like you need a drastic change, think about what's going to happen. You probably are also going to remove the good, and you might not fix the underlying problems that there are. So what can you do instead? Well, since I gave you 2 reasons why redesigns usually fail and are not the right solutions, let me give you 2 things you can do instead. First is to look in the motivation. What do people need? What do people want when they buy our product? Why should people order from you? What do you do that is unique? What kind of problem are you solving? Because every e-commerce brand is solving a problem. Even if you're just selling plain underwear, you're actually solving a problem for people that want plain underwear. And if there are many other brands out there that sell plain underwear, you need to find something that makes you unique, either the material where it's made from, or maybe create a brand where people can relate to, so that they feel like, hey, they get me and I like this brand, they're cool, they're a bit like me. Or you're becoming a bit the one shop for all, where you can buy all kinds of underwear and socks, etc., where people can get their undergarments from you. Because trust me, with these kind of products, if you sell those, you cannot compete on price. It's just a dead end, and it doesn't help you to grow your store. You need to have something unique. You need to have something compelling that attracts people. Now, the second thing that you could focus on and should focus on are the friction points. What is happening on the website that is stopping people from buying? Identify where people are dropping off. Maybe people aren't adding something to the cart, so you need to make sure that you get more people to add something to the cart. Or people actually add stuff to the cart, but they just don't go to the checkout, so you have an issue there. So you need to realize where the bottlenecks are and what is actually causing them to stop from buying. Do you have a confusing navigation, or do you lack trust symbols, or is your website just loading very slowly? Like, you need to identify what is stopping them from buying. If people still have questions about the delivery, about the quality of the product, about the material that it's made of, how they need to actually use it, then people are not going to buy. So you need to make sure that people don't have unanswered questions. So if you're thinking of doing a redesign and you actually are realizing that you do it because you are bored of your page, or you feel like you need something drastic to make a change, but when you think about it, you actually realize that there are just underlying problems that need to be fixed and you haven't really looked into them, then look at these factors, look at what motivates people. If your website is doing a good job at motivating people, and also to remove those friction points from your website. If you're not sure if you have these bottlenecks, and if you don't really know where to start looking, and you're actually thinking of redesign, before you do, let's talk first. You can book a call with me and I can help you find the bottlenecks and how you can fix them as well. Together we can make a plan that drives results without wasting valuable time and money on redesigns that don't work. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, and if you don't want to miss any e-commerce tips or strategies, make sure to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.